going to do Unbound by Anne E. Berg, starting on page 230. All right, so a snake is coming in. Yikes. Mama, Mama, Willie calls, waking up Thomas. Mama, Mama, they both call. Shh. Mama walks toward the bed. The snake slithers toward Mama. I'm here, Mama tells the boys, fear swallowing her words. The snake holds his angry head high, and I see the missus standing over me, and I feel her cold hands, and I smell her snarling oyster breath in the white hollow of the snake's stretched open mouth. His sharp fangs flash. So she's comparing that snake to the feeling of being around the missus. It's interesting. Aunt Sarah pops up and taps her cane. The snake turns, and before my thoughts shape into sense, I grab a rock, move past Mama, and drop it on the snake's gaping head. Keep your mouth closed, I scream, much louder than I should. Keep your mouth closed. Blood squirts from the snake's crushed skull, but he still squirms. Mama rushes to the bed and takes Willie into her arms. Thomas wriggles beside her, and her arms open to hold him too. Hush, hush, little babies, Mama sings, but her voice withers into rasps. At my feet, the snake twitches and turns. Leave it be, Aunt Sarah says. Those white fangs still got poison in 'em. Even a dead snake what's got venom can kill. The coiled snake puts me in mind of the paddy roller we left laying in the woods. Even knocked out, them what's got venom can kill. Finally, Uncle Jim comes in carrying a bundle of berries and a basket what smells like heaven. What have we here? He asks. Aunt Sarah tells him how I dropped the rock and killed the snake, how I saved Mama and maybe Willie. Old George Cooper takes another rock and severs the snake's head completely. Using the tip of Aunt Sarah's walking stick, he pushes the snake's head into a wooden bucket and brings it outside to bury. The rest of the snake still wriggles and squirms. Uncle Jim lifts the snake by its tail and drapes it across the hearth. Aunt Sarah shakes her head. No brains, but still striking out. Master Allen thinks Aunt Sarah is useless, but she's not. Aunt Sarah's too weak to walk far and too tired to give the boys a breeze when it's hot, but she's not useless. Aunt Sarah knows stuff, and sometimes knowing stuff's as important as doing stuff. Everybody's got worth. I agree with that. Late that night, when the snake finally stops twitching, old George Cooper skins and drops a rope of flesh into a pot of boiling water. Not as good as pork biscuits, but an empty belly don't care. I'm glad my belly's full of biscuits and berries instead of that poisoned snake, what puts me in the mind of the missus and the patty roller. Meaning that makes her think of the missus and the patty roller. Tempy left the basket at the edge of the woods, old George Cooper says. Good I got friends would take care of me and my travelers. Tempy? My Aunt Tempy. Aunt Tempy's been helping old George Cooper care for runaways? Aunt Tempy what works in Master Allen's big house? Old George Cooper nods. Tempy's been helping me a long time, he says. My Aunt Tempy what tells me to mind my own business and not talk back. What gets up in the dark and goes to bed when it's darker. My Aunt Tempy what makes fancy tater flowers for the missus and blackberry syrup for the master's brother. My Aunt Tempy's been helping runaways. Old George Cooper nods and smiles. The very same. How could that be? I thought Aunt Tempy didn't care about nothing except making Master Allen and the missus happy. How could I be so wrong? My face burns in wonder and shame. I judged Aunt Tempy, same as the missus judged me. When the boys is asleep, old George Cooper tells us about the secrets tucked inside Tempy's basket. I didn't know about Aunt Tempy, I say. The less the children know, the better, Uncle Jim says. But now it's time to grow up. I watch Thomas and Willie curl together on the bed like baby kittens. It seems they's too young to grow up. Age don't make you old, Aunt Sarah says. Worries do. I take a deep breath. I got more worries than a swamp's got flies. Nobody knows it's my broken promises and sassy words that's got missus and sending what's got the missus set on sending Mama and the boys away. Nobody knows how I judged Aunt Tempy, and I never thanked her for all the good things she's done. If worries make you old, I must be older than Aunt Sarah. Old George Cooper takes out a small flat rock, what's buried in the bottom of the basket. Mean anything? He asks me. I shake my head. Look careful, he says, and tell me what you see. I hold the rock up close to the torch and I look close. Scratched into the smooth stone is an egg-shaped circle with another circle inside. A curved line, what looks like the moon, is scratched into the top corner. That looks like the moon, I say, and that looks like a fish. Old George Cooper nods. That's the moon, but that's not a fish. That's an eye. Aunt Tempe's warning us to stay put. He looks at Uncle Jim. Guess the Paddy Rollers is back hunting tonight. Ooh, so Aunt Tempe's sending them code. The worms that's been crawling in my belly feels like they's eating my bones, and everyone's in danger because of me. Not sure what this is, old George Cooper says, and he pulls out a worn strip of cloth that I recognize right away. That's mine, I say, and a sorrow and shame sinks inside of me. Mama ties the ribbon around my waist. Seems Aunt Tempe is sending you a message, she says. I remember Aunt Tempe lifting my chin and telling me that the good Lord didn't need a ribbon to hear our prayers. And I remember her pulling that pallet out from under her bed and tucking Mama's ribbon into the hem of my blanket. What we love is tied to us forever, I say, and I add a silent prayer to the good Lord and his angels to please keep watch over my Aunt Tempe and forgive me for misjudging her. For the next few nights, old George Cooper's the only one what goes outside. The crickets and frogs never stop chirping, and it seems like it's always night. It seems like we'll be hiding forever. Only old George Cooper knows for sure when the sun's gone and the moon's out, and when old George Cooper thinks it's safe enough, he disappears like a turtle slipping into murky water. Each time he leaves, he brings back something to eat. It's too dangerous for Aunt Tempe to leave stale muffins or scratched rocks. But even in the dark, old George Cooper knows where to find pine nuts and pawpaw trees. The hardest part of the wait is keeping Thomas and Willie from laughing too loud. There's not much room to run around, but silliness squeezes in the smallest places. Mama tries making a game of keeping quiet, but the hush doesn't last long. Let's draw, I say, and flickering pine light, me and the boys make pictures on the dirt floor. Thomas is just scratching, but Willie starts making circles and squiggly lines what look like people. Uncle Jim, tallest of all, wearing something on his head, what must be a hat that he wears in the field. And then next to him there's Mama and Aunt Sarah, both just skinny lines with circles on top, except Aunt Sarah's got 3 legs. Must be her cane. Even old George Cooper's there, standing next to Aunt Sarah, with his circle face marked with sharp lines and scratches. In a small space above Uncle Jim's hat, I add 3 circles and some short lines. That's us, I say, and Willie laughs. Aunt Sarah rests an angry look on us, but Willie doesn't notice and starts crossing his eyes and twisting his tongue, so Thomas spits up all those giggles, all the tied-up giggles he's been holding in. Be quiet, Uncle Jim hisses from the corner where he's skinning a squirrel. Little ones are supposed to laugh and have fun, Mama snaps, but she shushes us anyway. Tears well in her eyes. It's not natural keeping little ones so quiet, she says to me, and worrying and waiting wraps on our bones like a swamp fog. I'm going to read just a little bit more, okay? A couple of days and nights with nothing to eat but berries steals the loudness from Thomas and Willie better than all of Uncle Jim's sharp shushes and Aunt Sarah's squinty frowns. The last time old George Cooper was out, so were the dogs. So even he's been staying put. Our pawpaw and berry basket's just about empty. We starving to death, and it's my fault. If it weren't for me and my readiness, Uncle Jim would be singing in our moonlight garden, and Mama and the boys would be eating leftover muffins and Johnny cakes, instead of starving in a cave that's got poison snakes and hiding in every corner. Gotta risk a run, Uncle Jim says. The boys gotta eat. Grace, too. Everybody's gotta eat, I say. Old George Cooper shakes his head. Still too dangerous. But we've been inside for days, I say. Maybe the dogs have moved on. Maybe Aunt Tempe left another basket. How will we even know? It seems guilt and hunger's lifting the fog in my brain, and thoughts that have been lying faint for so long tumble and spill. We gotta do something. We can't just wait for Paddy Rollers or dogs to find us. We can't just starve to death. We gotta take a chance. Grace, Mama says, moving from the table to the bed where I'm sitting. Her eyes looks like they're sinking into her skull. Grace, you got to trust the good Lord, she says. We need to be patient just a while longer. Looking into those hungry eyes that's still floating with so much love makes something inside of me crumble. But Mama, I cry, it's my fault that we had to run. I didn't keep my promises. I didn't keep my eyes down. I didn't keep my mouth shut. I made the missus mad, and she would have sent me to the smokehouse, but Miss Charlotte was there, so she sent me to the blackberry patch, and Jordan helped me, but made me get scratches. Anyway, 'cause the missus would be looking for him, and he was right. My thoughts leak faster than spilled cider. And she wanted Master Allen to bring me to the auction block, but Master Allen said no because I was a vestment, and that's what the missus told Master Allen, to sell Thomas and Willie. Only toddlers don't fetch enough money, so then the missus told him to sell you too. Said he'd get more money if you was sold with him, and selling you would learn me on who I am and where I belong, 'cause I'm not haughty, Mama, and I don't know my place. And if I kept my mouth shut and I kept my eyes down, Uncle Jim would be tending our moonlight garden, and we'd all been eating food what's left over from the big house. I broke my promise. The good Lord knows that I can't be trusted, and now he don't care. And now we's all starving, and maybe we're going to get caught or even die. Mama draws me close. Her gown smells damp and swampy, but still she smells like Mama, and I stop talking to catch my breath, and I breathe in Mama's kindness. My sweet Grace, she says, some folks don't need a reason to hate. But, shh, Mama says, hatin's a choice. It's got nothing to do with you. But if I kept my promises, if I didn't talk back, if I kept my eyes down... I was wrong to keep you from looking at the stars, Mama says, kissing my hair and resting her head on mine. That's where the good Lord and his angels live. And that's where hope shines, her beautiful face. Uncle Jim sits on the other side of me. Gracie, he said, I'd rather be eating worms that I dug myself than scraps from the Allens' table. He looks at old George Cooper. Maybe Grace is right. Maybe we need to take a chance. I'll go, old George Cooper says. I won't go far, but I'll go. The good Lord's love and forgiveness wrap around me, and some of my shameful feelings start melting away. But my family is still in danger because of me, and guilty, ghosty worries linger. We're ending on page 257.